tell me about your ankle?
Oh yes, I've actually had a very clumsy week. I keep breaking things in my apartment and dropping things, and yeah, I'm really
Okay, so last week you melted the top of your pan by putting it in an oven that was too hot.
Yes, and I broke a bowl which I was proving bread in because I was balancing it. Yeah, and then it fell into the sink, so I was having to pick shards of broken bowl out of the bread. But
Did you still make the bread?
yeah, absolutely.
That is such a person who makes bread. I'm not sacrificing my dough.
Yeah, so I sort of put my glasses on and went close and personal to the bread, trying to find bits and pieces of bowl in it. And I've eaten that bread and nothing. I've had no esophageal problems as a consequence of swallowing shards of bowl.
I have this terrifying feeling that when I eventually upload this episode, because it will be me who will have to do it this time round, I'll have to put a little outro. Unfortunately, this podcast was released posthumously as Simon swallowed some bowl.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
A couple of days ago I was down at the river here and just caught my toe and went down on my ankle and had that feeling. I've sprained my ankle so many times, countless times, particularly the left one. And I have a pretty good idea as it's happening how long and how bad the injury is.
Oh, really? So, where was this on the rolling ankle scale?
Quite a long way down. Like they can be really bad. Really bad. Weeks. I mean, crutch, not being able to move at all.
Oh,
and so I was down the other end of the scale, but it was a bit sore, and it was quite a walk back actually. And then so I rested. Well, I didn't rest. I worked on the computer or whatever, and then so today it's a lot more settled. So I reckon Monday I should be able to. I was thinking 2 to 3 days. But it does mean I think it's increased my clumsiness. I don't like to think of myself as a clumsy person, but every now and again I think, maybe I am.
I know that I'm clumsy.
Well, yeah, you're good with that. You've accepted the fact.
I've accepted the fact that I will stumble and knock things over. I broke 2 separate chairs at my PhD supervisor's house on 2 separate occasions. And I know that I am clumsier in environments in my first meeting with them. So it takes me a little while to calibrate my body to a new space. And
so it's not about nervousness or sort of a different kind of energy when you're first meeting someone.
No, I think it's more about the fact that I've never really thought of myself as a particularly big person.
Right. So your inner image of yourself is different from
it's quite little. It's quite small. It's quite compact. I don't think of myself as taking up a particularly large amount of space.
I remember the first time I met you. Well, not the first time, but the first time I met you in person was at Jane Bacon's house, and you kind of came charging over because I was holding my phone was a Palm Trio. You were very excited about this phone.
We need to understand, everybody, this was a long time ago. When
that was as smart as a smartphone got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, those plastic buttons. So I've been actually funny about bread. I've been having a lot of conversations with shopkeepers about bread, and often ending up in their gardens, and they give me things. I've been given a lot of salad this week, lots of different kinds of salad, rocket and lettuce, and it's really generous. I guess a small town kind of vibe.
Yeah,
and this is a small town. 2 restaurants, small. I've been. It's hard for me to to listen too much to Nina singing 99 Luftballons.
So you mean you can't listen to it too much? It's just a song that you're happy
I just
with?
keep listening to it. I love listening
Why?
to it. I don't know. It's not that I disliked it when it was, I would have been, 14 or something, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something about, I don't know. But yeah, I've been listening to it a lot.
Are you listening to it in the English translation, or do you go with the German?
I go with the German. And there's
so
also
cool.
a slow version, which I really like. But I think this has all come out of our Atomic Blonde fetish.
It's your Atomic Blonde fetish. I've only seen the film once.
I thought you rewatched it. No, you didn't.
No, but now that you said that, I have an itch that needs to be scratched.
Yeah, scratch it, baby, scratch it.
Okay.
The other thing that happened yesterday was, which I think is worth talking about, is one of the people on the residency here. So there are 8 of us. So one of the artists here, his name is Marco Ranieri. His project is to make bread using. So the theme of the residency for all of us is soil.
Right.
And when you're a dancer and thinking about choreography, soil feels like quite a long. A bit of a long stretch to get to soil, but that's a different story. But Marco's project is to make bread entirely fermented using soil as the fermenting agent, you might say, to make bread.
Yeah.
And yesterday we tried his bread for the first time. So just to be clear, he takes soil, adds a bit of sugar and water, and then flour, and then proves it for more or less 4 hours in the ground, and then bakes the little thing in an oven. And this bread, so it's only using yeast from soil, the yeast that must be present in soil. And this bread was clearly, it looked like a little stone. When I say little, like a loaf-sized stone, and dark. And it was really, really nice with a gritty aftertaste of dirt. But isn't that amazing? Isn't it? It is extraordinary. He needed a mortar and pestle for the dirt, though, I think, just to get rid of that grittiness. But
I think we just need to take a moment now for those people who are germaphobes to assure them that pretty much the temperatures at which you bake bread kills everything. So you're all right doing this, really. Calm down, don't worry.
And he talked about this,
I just thought I should say that out loud because I know that some people are thinking, I'm eating dirt. Oh, that'll make you poorly. Not really.
I mean, kids do it all the time, don't they? But they don't cook it first.
And they don't cook it, lazy shits.
Yeah.
That's what they'll have afterwards, lazy shits.
But it did make me think, what the hell is the point of art? Like, what is it, Lee Miller? Do you know what it is?
Well, I'm going to offer you a rejoinder before I answer that question because it just feels like, okay, Simon, can open worms everywhere. So, at the symposium,
This is a long way away from me saying, what the hell is art for?
Well, no, yeah, I know. Okay, so you asked...
And it was a can of worms.
Yeah, can of worms. What the hell is art for? And at the symposium this week, there was a paper that started with, what is the purpose of education in the context of a biome that is dying? And that's where it started from. It started from why are we teaching anybody anything when we have moved beyond the point of no return, when there are only 3 words to refer to the climate emergency, and those 3 words are "it's too late." That's the only way that we can coherently and sensibly talk about what to do. And he went on to talk about the idea that global climate crisis as an ecological crisis misses the point. It's a political crisis, not an ecological crisis. The changes need to be done in order that the ecology can repair itself to some degree. So so he started from what's the point of education, and you're asking me what's the point of art, and
Yeah, what is it for? Yeah.
yeah, you were asking me a sort of a smaller question because you're effectively reflecting on a man making bread out of dirt. What is art for?
Yeah, but I mean, I actually found that I was quite moved by it in a way, just a sort of an opening up of our relationship to the land in a very precise way. When, of course, that exists all the time when we make bread or when we make any kind of food. But it's like he was effectively cutting out the middleman, as it were.
Yeah.
And so there's something. It helps me think about that, or it makes me reflect on that. So yeah, I actually, in this particular example, I quite like that he is this kind of a resetting of my frame of reference to the world, you might say.
Yeah, he helped you ask the question. He didn't formulate the question through critique of what he was doing.
Exactly. He's just doing his thing.
Yeah. I have absolutely no way to answer that question, Simon, and I think you know I have no way to answer it, and I'm not even sure that there's an interesting discussion to have, because I feel myself being pulled towards, Carl Andre's bricks in the Tate in the 70s, and I could do that, yeah, but you didn't kind of school of conceptualist thought in relationship to certain styles of modernism in art, moving away from things that are representative. So we're not just showing that. It's just, I think I am so.
Not in that world.
Well, actually, the opposite. I think I'm so. Maybe it is. No, I think maybe you're right, Simon. I'm not in the world of making art enough. I'm in the world of talking about art. That immediately I just start to think about those movements or those paradigmatic shifts and why something looks like that, and the move in the kind of the late Renaissance period from 2D towards something that becomes more
perspectival.
Exactly, perspectival. We move away from the idea of art that is somehow reifying a deity towards capturing nature. All of those sorts of things. I can do my piss poor version of art history, which I only ever do in order to gallop students, undergraduate first year students. I go through art history to gallop them up to the point where we can go, so theatre doesn't need to look the way that you think theatre should look like. Let's start from there.
Right.
Because here are all the different ways that we've seen the world. Here are all the different kind of John Berger ways of seeing that we can talk about. Go to this, go to that. This framing, that framing. So I think that I am so steeped in. It feels like a macro conversation about what is art, and
right. I see.
That it's because it's so macro. In order to get to a micro moment of, and now we're talking about how you move away from a particular kind of realist representation, which most undergraduates arrive in a theatre department thinking is what theatre is. It would be, I guess it would be the equivalent of somebody turning up at a dance degree, having only done tap, jazz, and ballet. And then encountering, the sort of post-Trisha Brown world of choreography and going, but you've got quite a lot of work to do, haven't you, to get them from that place to this place?
Yes, and there's anything particularly wrong with jazz, tap, and ballet.
There's nothing.
That's the thing. It's not even. It's just that it's only a part of the world.
And exactly, and that's what I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with representative theatre.
I'm just thinking for all our jazz, ballet, and tap listeners out there that, just to be clear, how canst thou thus for shame, Titania?
I'm just trying to make sense of why I feel that the question is so close to me and so far away from me that I have nothing useful to say that doesn't just... At this point, it feels almost like doggerel.
It feels like
sense.
What?
Doggerel, like a limerick, like da-da-da-da-da-da, just like so pat, and it'll just roll out of the mouth and it won't... Rote. Yeah, rote is better than doggerel. That's a much better word. It just
also,
feels...
because I've never heard the word doggerel before in my life, so...
It's a kind of shit poetry, but that's sort of what it feels like. Shit poetry when I start to talk about it, because I would be trying to distill effectively what I might explore over 3 years. Why are you laughing?
Because just the idea of a kind of shit poetry, I don't know why. It just because I quite like writing and reading poetry, and I think I write and read quite a lot of shit poetry, but I don't think I'd know it if I saw it anyway. And so I'm just enjoying the image
Of shit poetry.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
I ask because, well, I think that question, those 3 words, it's too late, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so this residency it's about nature and art and place. And so it's very hard, it's very difficult to reconcile. And I think some of the ways we've talked about it is that the sort of massive shifts in scale between the little things each of us, I mean artists, but anyone does on a day-to-day basis, to the extraordinarily macro scale of this 6th, isn't it, period of extinction, and of mass extinction, and maybe it's the 5th. I should know that. And so, yeah, it just calls to mind or brings to mind that the nature of what it is that we do. And I think maybe artists or art have a particular relationship with trying to make sense of what they do, particularly in our world when it's not really valued. Yeah. And so that it sort of causes a certain amount of anxiety or... Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure anxiety is quite the right word. Or cognitive dissonance is probably a better way of describing it. And yeah, and so I was just, it just was occurring to me as I've been pretty deep in what I've been doing. And it's certainly at the stage where it's taking some shape. But I have no idea of what the hell it is and what it's for and who it's for, what it might even be communicating even in the best of circumstances. So it's a really, it's a beautiful place to be, but also tellingly uncertain. So yeah, I don't know where that goes. Well, it'll go up on Vimeo and 7 people will watch it.
Well, more than 7 if you link to it from the show notes. Did you just break something? I
just, as I leaned back into the upper bunk and banged the side of my head. Yeah.
Wowzers. Simon.
These are big headphones. It's very hard to know. It's basically me wearing my headphones is like you being in your body, where my head is much smaller than they actually are. It's like you're wearing a massive set of headphones all over your body.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you think of me as big?
Ooh.
Or do you think of me as little? Does that make sense?
I do.
Make sense.
I think of you as big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong. It's weird because I don't.
Muscular.
Actually,
I don't think of you very much at all, frankly.
Just once a week and only for an hour.
About 10 to 9, I go, oh my God, I'm going to talk to that guy again.
Yeah.
Better set up the microphone. What are we going to talk about this week? I know, art.
Hey, let me tell you when I ate dirt.
Yep. I love that.
I am so tired, Simon.
I can hear it in your voice.
Criminal again.
Yeah. Is this coming week a little softer for you? Must be. Except for the.
Yeah, it starts with a
bang.
Fairly. Yeah. Listeners, this is because I told Simon something which I have cut out about what I have to do on Monday, which is, stressful. It's going to be a fairly busy week this week. And then on Saturday, I drive Bob to Newquay, where she climbs aboard an aeroplane and disappears for a month.
To Portugal?
She doesn't disappear. She's going to Lisbon.
Where's Newquay? Is that Bristol way?
No. Newquay is in Cornwall. So she's taking a flight from our most local airport, which runs flights in the summertime.
It must be a tiny airport.
Yep, it's pretty much a one-horse kind of, well, you don't fly on a horse, obviously. It's a plane.
And
But it's pulled by horses. Takes a really long time. She's going away for a month, but she'll only be in Portugal for 3 days. That's how long it takes the horse because the horse has to swim with the plane behind it.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's certainly better in terms of fossil fuels, isn't it?
Not according to the horse. The horse just says, look, by the time the planet's burning, I'll be dead anyway, so can we just send them on a plane that's got fuel in it and I can just sit and eat grass? Horses don't sit. Did you know horses can't vomit?
I didn't know that.
They can't, which is why they get all gassy, blow up and die. They don't. I mean, it's not like constant, but that's one of the things that can happen to them. Dogs can vomit, as I discovered early on Monday morning.
Nice.
Thanks, Jeff. Our carpet on the stairs is just so bad now.
I thought you'd replaced it.
No, because I keep putting it off, and I'm really glad because dogs keep doing unspeakable things on it.
Why do they choose that? Why does Jeff choose that part of the house?
Oh, it's not just Jeff. It's Henry, it's William, it's Steve. It's every single one of them that has ever lived in this house has decided, I think I'll be sick on the stairs. I think I'll have diarrhea on the stairs. I think I will sit on the stairs and... yeah.
Oh, don't. Oh, please.
Don't what? Don't have diarrhea on the stairs.
Just don't keep telling the story. It's just like, just
stop.
thinking about walking up those stairs. Like I'm gonna have to walk along the edge. I have to use a
it's not like I don't-
hoverboard to go up the stairs.
The reason that there is a hole in the stair carpet is we
Scrubbing
the
it.
carpet so much it just wore away. So it will get repaired. No, replaced. Because I think we might be having guests at some point over the summer.
Holy hell! And when do you get leave from the job you've just started?
I think in 2 weeks after Bob goes. So Bob has 2 weeks by herself, and then I go and visit her for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But my mum and dad are going to go and swing by and keep her company when she's by herself.
Does she need company when she's by herself? I don't imagine her to be. It sounds like they want to see.
Yep. They want to see her, and my mum's booked. My mum was saying, "When's Bob in Lisbon?" And I told her, she went, "Brilliant! I'll book some hospital appointments so that I can stop over and visit her, and we'll go out, and then I'll also get some scans done." So, so that's how they roll.
Nice. I was going to ask you something. Oh, yeah, sorry about this. But do you think people should keep making art?
Yes. I don't think people could stop.
So it has. Do you think it has a reason beyond being for the artist? Then you can tell where I am in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I think we have. Okay. I'm going to try and answer the question that you asked, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I think the question, what is art, is informed by a particular... It's informed by lots of art history stuff, yeah? But I think the sharpness of the question that you are feeling right now feels informed by a somewhat overwhelmingly neoliberalist way of being in the world. That sense of transactional value.
Ooh.
And I think perhaps the reason I don't want to get into the question of what is art or what is art for is ultimately we start to talk about its worth, and its worth is always then reduced to something transactional.
But it doesn't have to always be reduced to that.
No, I agree with you, Simon, which is why I don't want to have the conversation, because I think that's where things end up. We ascribe worth to things that have the most number of eyes on it, or the thing that is given the most amount of money, or is given the best reviews. That I think the question you asked just a moment ago, that should we carry on making art, is of a different stripe than what is art or what is art for. Or maybe it's closer to what is art for. But I think we can't not make things. I think we can't not try to express ourselves in a variety of ways, and I think some of them have been codified and valued and held up, and some of them are dismissed and laughed at and held down.
We're talking, which as a big shout out to all the mime artists listening. Sorry, it's just it's a stupid joke because dance is such a low, and then it always has this kind of thing about, well, at least we're not doing mime. It's a terrible thing to say.
It is a shitty thing to say, but it's also gets to the nub of it, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
That when we feel challenged because what we are doing isn't worthy, we find something that is less worthy than us.
Yeah.
And I think, but that sense of there being somebody who is less than, lower down the hierarchy, all of those sorts of things. The idea that there is a form that is less important. Yeah, but we need it because we are constantly, I think, worrying about the value of what it is that we are doing. We need it we need it only in order to give ourselves license to carry on doing the thing that is effectively without value. Because in the context of it's too late, what does it matter? But without wishing to be depressing about it, in the context of the fact that we have a finite amount of time on the planet, whether that planet is burning or not, let's leave that conversation to one side. Given that we have a finite amount of time on the planet, does the thing that you do bring you joy? Does the thing that you do cause harm? If you have more in one column and less in the other column, does it matter? Does it matter what it's for or why we do it, or should we carry on doing it? We're all going to die one day.
I really, it just makes me think to people who are listening, just make things. Just keep making things. Make them. Keep making them. I really, thank you, Lee.
Make cakes, make bread, dance in the kitchen, and don't worry about the fact that you can't dance in the kitchen.
But don't break things with your arms.
Fuck it, break things and sweep them up, and don't be cross with yourself. Make something out of the thing that you break. Because nobody else is really giving a shit, and one day I'll be dead.
Nah, you turn my yuck into a yum right then.
Sausage.
Hey, wait, that's 10 o'clock. Let's stop.
Let's stop. Okay.